Have you watched YouTubers and heard them mentioning cheats and hotkeys and different build hacks, and you're left scratching your head wondering what in the world they're going on about? Don't worry, my friends, I've got you covered. In this video, I'm going to go over all of these cheats and hotkeys for you so that you can be empowered to build more diverse and interesting spaces in your Sims 4 game. Cheats and hotkeys can save you time, unlocking creative freedom, allowing for more realistic and detailed builds. So let's jump into it. So for those of you who are brand new to The Sims 4, I'm just going to go through very quickly a brief overview of the basic building mechanics in The Sims 4. So if you want to place walls, it's really easy. You just go into your build by mode. You've got walls and empty rooms. You can click the room tool to make a simple room very quickly for yourself. When you make a room like this, the floor is automatically included. And placing furniture is super simple, as easy as going into your comfort category, picking a piece of furniture, and placing it. And of course, if you want to rotate, you can do so by clicking on the right mouse button and then the left mouse button to place the item. So now that we've got that extreme basics out of the way, let's go ahead and go into a little bit more detail of things. First, we're going to go into cheats. In build mode, to activate cheat codes, you want to get your cheat console up first, and that is Control-Shift-C on your keyboard. And you'll notice this white text box up here open. So one of the most used cheats in building is the Move Objects cheat. To activate that, all you have to do is type in bb.moveObjectsOn and then hit enter to turn on the cheats. This enables you to place items in places that the game normally would not allow. This cheat will enable you to take two sofas and place them at right angles to each other to create a nice corner lounge. You can also use this cheat to take some tables and place them together to give yourself a larger dining room table. And you can also do the same thing with coffee tables, taking two smaller coffee tables and slightly overlapping them to create a larger coffee table. Now you need to be aware, this can affect your Sim's ability to use all or part of the item, or can cause strange visuals when they do use it. So like, for example, this corner bit of these two sofas gives this weird visual glitch. The visual glitch isn't too jarring in most cases, or you can always cover that up like with a plant or a stuffed toy. Just something that helps to disguise it a little bit. Like so. When doing stuff like this, it is always a good idea to test objects that you've placed with this cheat, especially if you intend to share the build with others. So the move cheat does have some limitations. While it allows two windows to be placed on one section of wall, like for example, we take the square naughty window and put it over this one, you can do this. But again, it will cause some strange visuals. Also, keep in mind that sometimes the game will not acknowledge that an item is placed in an unusual place, and thus that can result in some strange visuals being seen when a Sim tries to use that item or just in general in live mode. So while the Move Objects cheat is activated, we can also adjust the height at which something sits. So for example, we've got the stuffed dragon here, and by using the 9 key, I can raise the height of the item, and by using the 0 key on the keyboard, I can lower it. So by doing this, we can put items on places that they normally wouldn't be able to go on, such as coffee tables or sofas. Now, another well-used cheat in building, this next one allows us to use items that we normally can't purchase. So to activate, again, go into your cheats console and type in bb.showHiddenObjects in the cheat bar and then enter. Now what this does is it lets us select items that we normally can't buy from different bushes, such as this, to lights, such as the ambient ceiling light and ambient wall lights. That can be placed inside of your builds, and then in live mode, you won't be able to see these lights. So this next bit isn't really a cheat code, but it is a feature that is still useful when decorating a house. When you have an item, such as this bush for example, you can press the left square bracket key to shrink an item, and the right square bracket key to enlarge the item. And as you can see, the item can be made quite a bit smaller than the original, and you can go to absolutely massive sizes when you enlarge them. Keep in mind, however, using this cheat, that again, some visual glitches will occur, such as the shadow. If you notice, there's a weird shadow that shows up when the item is very small. So just be aware of that. Now, while most items can be made bigger or smaller, a few do not work at all, or do not work well. Mirrors, for example, when you shrink them down, the actual mirror portion does not size down. It also does not size up when you size up the mirror. Just the frame of the mirror sizes up or down. It's the same thing with windows. The whole of the window does not size up or down with the window. It's just the window frame that you can size up and down. Same thing with doors. It's just the door itself. It isn't the hole that the door creates that sizes up and down. So just be aware of these limitations when you try this cheat. So another trick is free placement and rotation of objects. So when you place an item, you notice the green grid around the item. This is the footprint. This shows how many grid squares that the item will need, and when you place it down, of course, you see that it's automatically locking to the grid that's on the floor. Now, by holding the Alt key on your keyboard, this allows you to move the item freely. Instead of being forced to place it here, which overlaps the doorway, I can very carefully, using Alt, place it right there. And combining the Move Objects cheat and the Alt placement really opens up what you can do with different builds. So like, for example, you can make these kitchen cabinets intersect with each other like this, so that it gives you a nice end piece there. But again, be careful, because sometimes it does tend to give you some visual glitches in live mode, especially. So then we have free rotation. Free rotation is similar to free placement in that you're not restricted in how you rotate an item. So this trick is dependent on using the Sims 3 camera mode. So to do that, what you do is you click the camera controls up here in the top right corner of your screen, and find Sims 3 camera, which is the next to last mode. So click that and return to the game. Now, you'll notice that the camera controls are a lot different in Sims 3 camera mode than they are in Sims 4 camera mode. For example, you can't rotate the camera like you normally would by right-clicking and using your mouse. But this way does give you extra freedom. Press Alt and left-click on the item and move your mouse around. This enables you to be able to rotate the item freely. So if you want a rug to be at a jaunty angle, for example, you can totally do that now. Now you can switch between the Sims 3 camera and the Sims 4 camera by clicking Control, Shift, Tab. And once again, you'll see I can rotate the camera freely because I'm back in the Sims 4 camera mode. Control, Shift, Tab again, and I'm in the Sims 3 camera mode. So something that you need to keep in mind, if you share a house or a room that you've built in the Sims 4 gallery, in which you've used some of these cheats, not all things placed with Show Hidden Objects cheat will transfer through to the gallery. Some are just not designed to do so. The invisible lights, for example, will transfer only if you share and save the entire lot. If you only share a single room, the hidden lights will not be included. Also, objects placed using the Move Objects cheat may transfer correctly, but there is a chance that they will not. If I shared this house, for example, right now, there is a chance that this dragon plush will either be sunk down into these sofas or will be hovering above the sofas, or there's a chance that these sofas might automatically clip out like this to be next to each other instead of intersecting like this. So just keep in mind that some things that you do in the game, in your build, might look different for people who download your build from the gallery. Now let's go over into some hotkey shortcuts. So let's say you want to build a wall. To build a wall, like I said, you can go into Build, Walls and Empty Rooms, Wall Tool, and build your wall. But let's say you're in roofs and suddenly you think, I need a wall here. Click the B key. That automatically takes you into the Wall Tool right here. And you'll see hovering above Wall Tool, it says B. That is your keyboard shortcut. So B allows you to build the walls. Then we have the E key on your keyboard that allows you to go to the eyedropper tool immediately so that you can copy items or swatches or whatever. The G key on your keyboard toggles the grid lines on and off, which is fantastic for when you want to take a screenshot. As you can see, this is what it looks like with the grid lines on and then the grid lines off. The H key is your hand tool. This is what allows you to grab and move objects around. The K button will switch to your Sledgehammer tool, which destroys objects. Now, normally, you can click on the Sledgehammer tool here in the bar at the top center of your screen, but hit the K button on your keyboard and it automatically switches over for you. The L button will switch between morning, afternoon, evening, and nighttime lighting. So you see this icon here, right now it's morning. If I hit the L key, it automatically switches to afternoon. If I hit the L key again, it switches to evening. And if I hit it a final time, it goes to nighttime. And then back again for morning. You can do it as well by clicking on the icon, but sometimes it's easier and faster to do it just by using the keyboard shortcut. To recolor something or to change a swatch, you want to use the R key on your keyboard, and that just enables you very quickly to recolor a swatch on an item. The T key on your keyboard switches to top-down view, which can be really useful when you're trying to get something to line up properly with the grid. And to get out of this view, you just hit the T key once again. If you want to easily move and rotate the entire structure of your building, you can do this by hitting the U key on your keyboard. Very, very quick and easy. Keep in mind, though, that by doing this, it won't move the plants, it will just move the building itself. Now we've got F1, F2, and F3 keys. These keys switch between live mode, build mode, and buy mode. So F1 will go into live mode. F2 will take you back into build mode. And F3 takes you into buy mode. Now this is very handy for quickly playtesting something that you've done in build buy. Keep in mind though that if you do not have any sims on your lot while you're building, hitting F1 will take you to manage worlds instead of straight into live mode. Holding down the control key while using the wall tool will delete walls and fences. Holding control will also erase any terrain paint when held down in terrain paint mode. So let's say I'm putting down some scratchy in places paint. Oh, I've made a mistake here. So I can hit control and erase that without any problems. This is very useful for when you've done a huge area and hitting Control Z to undo will erase the entire thing. This way you can just do some fine tweaking to the terrain paint that you've done. So with the wall or room tool selected, holding down Shift will switch between the wall and the room tools. You can also hold Shift while placing objects in build mode to enable you to place more than one of that item. The Shift key is also really useful when you want to put a wallpaper in a room. So let's say, for example, I want to give this room a really cool looking rainbow wall instead of this plain Jane one. So I can hit shift and you can see that the wallpaper is automatically applied all the way around the room. And of course, it does the same thing with the floors. Now let's go into Friezes. Let's say you want a frieze on an exterior wall. Normally, when you do this, it puts the frieze all the way around the room, wherever it can. But if you hit shift, it will just put the frieze in that particular area. Keep in mind, though, that by doing this, sometimes it will erase wallpaper. Now, when you're putting down flooring, a really neat trick that you can use is to press Ctrl and F, and this enables your quarter tile mode so that you can create all kinds of really cool effects, such as you see here with 2 different colors of the same tile. Let's say I accidentally put a floor tile here. Ctrl Z on your keyboard automatically undoes the last action. You can do this multiple times, by the way, to undo multiple actions. Likewise, if you accidentally find that you've hit Ctrl Z too many times and you want to redo that, instead of going back into finding the item and the exact swatch, you can hit Ctrl Y on your keyboard and that will redo the action. Normally you can grab an item and click your right mouse button to rotate an item. But let's say you don't want to do that. Instead, you can use the comma or period keys, also greater than or less than keys, to rotate the item as well. While you're painting terrain, adjust the softness by sliding this slider here, or you can use the semicolon key on your keyboard to make it larger, or the hash or tilde symbol to make it smaller. Let's say you want to play something like a piece of artwork, a painting for example, that has multiple swatches, and you don't want to let go of the item to look through the swatches, or you want a better idea of what each swatch is going to look like up on the wall. With the item selected, press the plus key on your numpad, and doing so will cycle through all of the color swatches for that item. So let's say you're wanting to empty your Sim's house so that you can build them another one while still keeping all of the furniture. You can store household items much faster by hitting the backspace key on the keyboard when you have the item selected. Saves you a little bit of time instead of going through here and placing an inventory. If you want to sell an item, again, very quickly with it selected, hit the delete key, which is normally on most keyboards situated between your letter keyboard and your numpad. Just click delete with the item selected and it will quickly sell that item and you'll get the money in your Sim's household funds. Moving on to roofs. Did you know that you can unlock additional access points with hotkeys when putting down your rooftops? While you have a roof selected, you'll notice that you've got these round points here. If you click Shift C, this gives you even more points. So instead of 1 point, we now have 3. This allows for creating roofs with even more curves. So without this keyboard shortcut, you can make a curved roof with just the 1 point. But having 3 points on each side allows for just that little bit more ability to get the roofs exactly the way you want them to. You can also make one side of the roof longer than the other by holding down Shift while dragging down one side of the roof using these rounded arrows right here. You can drag up to make it shorter or down to make it longer. Some other very quick hotkeys are your level manipulation. If you hit page up or down, page down lowers the elevation, page up will raise it. And then finally, you have your keys that aren't necessarily specifically for building, but are still useful to know nonetheless. If you hit the F4 key, that takes you to the gallery. This is very useful for quickly sharing your builds with others, or very quickly downloading something off the gallery that you might need for your build. And that is pretty much it, my friends. That is a crash course to some of the different cheats and hotkeys and build hacks that you can use when building in The Sims 4. Thank you so much for watching the video, my friends. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you next time.